All right, I'm gonna wait a couple more minutes for more people to join. Very excited to have all the guests attending and auditing our weekly Friday AI product management community sessions at PM Exercises. I'm very excited for that, so I'll tell you guys a little bit more in a couple minutes. And yeah, so we'll tell you guys how we're gonna run today's session. It's for those community members that attend every week, it's pretty much the same. And the auditors are just auditing and kind of listening in and hopefully getting some value from it. But for the weekly participants, there's no difference. So it's going to be the same as before. And the conversation is going to be between them. But maybe Mahesh, I'll let you get started, and then you can kind of pass it to me. I'll do a quick overview and we'll get started.
Sounds like a plan. Thank you again, another Friday. And maybe you can take care of admitting people now. Bijan, on the other side, people are still like waiting in the room, so maybe you can add them. But again, welcome all people who are auditing. Thank you for joining us. And again, I will take it more like every Friday. So hi, Michalis. Hi, Emery. Hi, team. Another Friday, and thank you for joining. Hi, Chris. So this is our team. Generally, like we meet every Friday, and a little introduction for new people about me. Hi, I'm Mahesh. I am working as an AI ML PM here in AWS, and I built many products before in machine learning and AI. And I love to teach this course or this Friday, because Friday sections are really exciting because it's a space where we come as peers and we discuss a lot of things. We pick up few things that are going. Like which is very latest. We continue to evolve with the latest technology, as you know that machine learning and AI evolves very fast. So we discuss them from the product angle. We look at different aspects of it, a little bit tech, but mostly like what it takes to bring things to production, which is, I think, is my expertise. And then we also talk about tech. Somebody came up with this cool idea that there was this new course that AWS launched on deep learning. It's on Coursera. It's about LLMs. And we thought we'll just take that course. It's a free course. But I will also show today like how to run the labs of that course, hopefully free. They charge you otherwise. But if you follow these instructions, you should be able to run them for free on AWS. So maybe if we have time, we will cover that. And we are doing that course week by week. And this is like supposedly week 2, but we reversed it for all of you as week 1. So all of you can do the week 1. I will walk you through that course. Another agenda is this cloud that's launched by Anthropic. So we'll discuss that, what it means and how we evolve through that. So let me just share my screen quickly and we can get started.
All right, I'm going to make you the host real quick. So one more thing that I would say before I pass this back to Mahesh is that for those of you that are interested in attending these community sessions as an active member, the only thing that we're doing right now is we actually opened up applications for the next cohort. So anybody who's here is basically who's actively participating. We're kind of where you are today, and they went through the cohort. I'm very proud of what we put together, and they're becoming experts in this field, right? So it's very valuable, and this is hopefully a chance for you guys just to let you know. Unfortunately, just to kind of be fair to people that are members of the cohort and they're the alumni of the cohort, they're the only ones that can actively participate. Everybody else is muted. They cannot really send messages or anything. They can watch. And for the cohort participants, if you want to share your thoughts, because Mahesh is going to be the host, you just need to kind of raise your hand, and then Mahesh is going to unmute you and let you share your thoughts, and then we'll go from there. So yeah, with that said, Mahesh, would you like me to stay a host and then you continue and I kind of approve people as it goes, or do you want to be?
Yeah, just to go. I think you can stay host. If you can just give Anumia, Chris, Michalis, all them like permission to talk. Generally, like I love to talk to them when they are online.
Okay,
it's
so
like
Adam
more
is
of us.
here. Adam Samuel is here. Adam, I just unmuted you.
Yeah, that's the advantage he gets because he name starts with A. So I could only figure out people with A right now.
Abdin
But
was in
if
the
you're
class too, right?
in cohort, yeah, always.
Abdin, and then let me see who else. Emery is here too. So I'm gonna, but like I said, you guys please like raise your hands if you want to share your thoughts. Let me see who else is in here. Is there anybody else that I haven't approved? Anumeha, I haven't done it yet. Yeah.
You can just approve them. And I think if you're not approved, host disabled participants screen sharing. Can you make me host? I need to share my screen.
Okay, cool. You can share your screen. Go ahead.
Yeah. Let me just start.
So go ahead. And yeah, I'll continue kind of managing it as you go through this.
Sounds good.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah. Let me know if you can see my screen, team. Bijan, you're at the team today.
Yeah, I can see your screen. Yeah, I can see your screen.
Sounds like a plan. So what happened last week? Last week, Anthropic, this company, which is a direct, like this. Let me tell you a little bit about Anthropic first. So Anthropic is this company which is started by the same people who were at OpenAI, built the company. OpenAI is this company which launched ChatGPT. OpenAI founder Sam Altman have these siblings. One of them was the VP of research. When in 2019, what happened is Microsoft signed this deal with OpenAI. OpenAI was a nonprofit. The goal was to do AI research in open, make sure that we are building safe and secure API. That was the mission of OpenAI when it started as a nonprofit, mostly funded by the big shots like Elon Musk. And a lot of funding went into it with that mission that, hey, these big companies should not be doing all of AI like Facebook, Google. And they started this company, got funding, but they realized soon that to train these large models, which we have seen, the cost of infrastructure, especially the chips, is so high. And because they are so large, it costs them $1 billion plus to just run experiments and see what works, what doesn't work. And that's very hard for them to raise money for. So in 2019, OpenAI made this decision to offer a for-profit organization working with cloud, working with Azure, and gave all the rights to use the models that OpenAI produced to Azure or Microsoft. So that did not resonate with the VP at that time. And he started his own company called Anthropic. Anthropic is also funded mostly by the venture capitalists, have raised around $1 billion plus at this point, have a lot of funding, but mostly the cloud agreement is with GCP. And hosting of these models is kind of not proprietary to any cloud provider. Anybody can host it. AWS in the Bedrock offering of large language model also allows anybody to get these Anthropic models and build products on top of them. And as you have seen, right, that building these products is always, we have seen in our cohort that, you have these chips and then you have these frameworks and then you build ML ops and then you build AI services. And on top of that, now we have these LLMs as products. Like you can use their API and you need not to worry about what model, what even data. You have prompts and you can do basic things with prompts, but like generating text. And you're seeing the first version of that in products like Notion AI, where people can now generate text or get started without having a lot of context. Copilot from Microsoft is another version of the same. So a lot of these new products, which are based on these product-based APIs, and so far ChatGPT was like the only one to go to. Azure has one, and then there is a lot of open source in Hugging Face that people can use, but nothing like which can actually have done this reinforcement learning with human feedback. OpenAI started with that idea that we're going to do exactly what ChatGPT is doing, but we're going to make it more safe and secure. So the whole idea of OpenAI kind of ported to Anthropic, got funding, got this model, and now they release this new model called Cloud in like last week, I believe, 13th is the date, or 11th or 8th. So we thought it would be cool if we talk about this a little bit. Actually, Bijan pinged me. He asked me for my opinions, and then I was like, okay, maybe all of you will have these queries, like what it means for building products. Because as a product manager, you will have to make choices. And one choice is if you're building on top of large language models, you need to see which one will you use. So there are many choices today. One is OpenAI, available on top of Azure or with OpenAI. One is Vertex AI, where Google's Bard LLM is available. And then you have AWS, which is taking open source models like this one, like Anthropic, and Bloom from Hugging Face, and they are opening that. So you make that choice, and how you make that choice, we'll discuss that today, and we will compare these two. So you will have this understanding of like what it means. You will go like beyond this idea of, oh, this is revolutionary LLMs and all. You will open the box and see as a product manager what you need to look at if you're making that choice, and what is out there and how you share it. I will try to be a little generic, but I will refer our course because that just gives us a common ground to discuss things, and a lot of things I can't cover. But now you can actually create and talk to this cloud API. So you can just say, hey, so now you have this one, and you can start chatting with it. And they also build this whole same interface. They have an API. So I thought, let's run just quick test and see like how it works. So we'll just do the same test, which will ask the same question and see how it behaves. So let's ask this, what are the top 3 qualities of a good program PM? Qualities of a good PM. And let's make it vague. Let's not tell it like, and let's just say product manager. Let's see how that goes. What top 3 qualities of good product manager? Here are the strategic thinking, communication, and execution. Okay, let's ask it to our buddy at GPT-4. I am in code interpreter mode. So let's see if we can just start. Maybe just ask it here and see. It refers to the same model. Strategic thinking and vision. So communication and leadership. So they are trying to give you more than 3. Anumia wanted to say something. Anumia raised her hand. Can we customer empathy and user-centric thinking? So you
So
see that, right?
can you
Yeah.
zoom a bit because it's very hard to read?
Oh, thank you, Anumia, always. Good to see you, by the way. If you can turn their videos on somehow, like at least people like Michalis and all, I'm feeling like so lonely today. But you can see that, right? That they are comparable. And I've done more tests. I will also paste a link. This is our sheet. So I have had a link here on a YouTube video. I think this guy did a good job of details, like how he has compared them. Michalis, go ahead.
I'm unable to start the video actually.
Oh.
It says disabled from the host.
At least there's a guy who's coming to save me from boredom, and he's not allowed. So I feel like at least you tried. I think there is a lot of like restrictions we have put. Bijan, you can't speak. We can't hear you. We still can't hear you, Bijan. Can I unmute you somehow? Can everybody see
sorry.
me?
Can you guys see me?
Okay.
I was just
Yes.
going to say, sorry, Nicholas, we'll enable the video next time. I don't know. We tried to figure it out, like where.
Oh, sorry. I think, yeah, that was the challenge. Yeah.
We'll do it next time. But yeah, it's next time.
So you see that. Yeah. Thanks,
Then,
Bijan.
yeah, no problem. Go ahead.
Yeah. So you see that, right? If you look at these 2 responses, right? Still, right, there's a lot of data that ChatGPT has gone so far and gone through a lot of training. So out of box model, this is where I think GPT-3 was when we started with GPT-3 in like late January. And it's doing a good job. Like it got the context and got basic things going, but is not able to give more than what I'm asking. While if you look at like this one, I think it's much more holistic, and this is just human feedback. I'm just going with my quality. Yay! So this, I think I will give like ChatGPT a points there. Hi, Chris. Again, okay, now I feel like home. Thank you for joining again. So I think we have this idea that I looked at it. I tried many examples, and I couldn't like really differentiate. Means I think it is a good competition. I've tried like Bard and others and like other basic things, and I couldn't like get that kind of sense. But this is a good start. So that's the first point. Second point for me was that one thing that I found very attractive in Cloud was that, hey, this idea that I can just start with like files. So as you know that we are also iterating on this contract idea, that how can we process contract faster or understand like legal things. So I just what I did is I just took one of the contracts and I uploaded it and I said, okay, tell me more about this. And surprisingly, they were very good at it. Like I upload this file and I say, hey, tell me top 3 points in this contract. And I think that's where they are like trying to shine or differentiate themselves. That ChatGPT was always this generic idea of a large language model with a large understanding of the world, and you can ask it questions and it does a great job of enhancing it. But if you give it like a context of a particular document, that's where, so this is a license agreement, and I know that this is between this company, and these are the confidentialities, and this is the limited liability, and now it has summarized this contract for me. If I try to do the same with our buddies at chat, I can just now in code interpreter example, I can do the same. And let's see, like they were not even able to read it. So that was my challenge. And of course, I'm trying to use a different product, but I expected them to do it, or they don't have the capability, which doesn't make sense. Like I have to do OCR and then go there while they can just take documents. And it's a killer use case. Like if we have seen we have discussed like what exactly people will pay for these large language model, and document understanding was like that killer use case that people are ready to pay for an enterprise. And now they have this new model which does a great job. So let's ask the same question here, which is, hey, can you give me 3 main points in this document? 3 main points in this doc. Okay, so I think one thing that I was able to see is that generic out of box, they were good. Unfortunately, I can't do that. I can't extract. It paper appears giving the nature, and now it goes into its own things like, hey, I'm just this, I'm gonna just do this, which is generic information, whatever it builds in its own memory. So nothing of like real context, which is like not helping. So people who are trying to use these, which have their own context, people who are passing their document, people who are passing their pictures converted into text, which you have seen like Bajan doing with Product Monkey. Uh, Cloud Cloud does have an like very focused approach on that. And that I've like tried many times and it doesn't fail me at all. So we're gonna shift from my side like chat contract, and I'm gonna give it a A/B testing and see like if it performs well based on my initial testing. So that's like generic. Anybody should be able to do it. But now, because you guys are on video and we're gonna make it like a real community call, let's discuss few things, right? So, okay, now let's take this. You have this model. The model is backed by like really good research people, backed by Google. So let's say this, you have a real competition. So this is not a small company. They have built a model. They're launching it. If you are the product manager, what would you look at? Just give me any ideas. Can you say something? Are they unmute or like? Let's have that discussion because
I
end of
think
the
they
day,
have
this is our
to
Friday
raise their
call.
hand and then I can unmute them. So if they raise their hand, they can
Or
unmute.
they don't raise their hand. Mikhales, go ahead. This
Okay.
time, last time we discussed, I'm just gonna call out.
Yeah,
people.
or once I unmute you guys, just stay unmuted, then that's fine too. So, but for now, if you want to get unmuted, just like, raise your hand and there you go, perfect. And then stay unmuted.
Hi,
Oh,
Nava.
great to see you.
Can we make Nava also like,
Yeah, I just made her unmute. So,
All right. So I guess one thing is the cost, right? So what's the cost for the model that you're going to
awesome.
use?
I'm so proud of you, Michalis. Okay, so one is, okay, you are a product manager, you're evaluating two models and you're making that call. You're going to look at the pricing. Okay, so great. So we will look at the pricing. So let's say GPT and Cloud, and we will look at the pricing of these two models, right? So anything else that comes to your mind?
Accuracy.
Nava?
Sorry.
Yeah, so I've heard that one of the differences with Anthropic is that it's based on a constitutional model, I guess, or training. So how is that different from the way OpenAI is doing training?
That's a very good question. So let's put it like, I will look at in the aspect of responsible AI or safety. So that's their pitch, right? And the question is, hey, what is this idea around constitutional training or constitutional understanding during training? So we will look at that. So you will also look at like the safety. Is it responsible? And who is more responsible? Who is doing AI more responsible? Because the number one challenge you will find in like building AI-based products, once you start hitting mass market, before that, nobody cares. But as soon as you start hitting mass market, all the regulations, all the competitors will come after you and say, you have used their data differently, it's biased, it's not compliant. Last time we talked about this law that is in New York State that is rolling out now, which said that if you are going to use any AI software or any software to scan or use CV scanning, you have to explain or you have to audit and put your reports every month that how are you not biased. So the onus is on you. And now this angle of more safety, more responsible AI with this constitutional training, what does that mean to it? We'll park that idea. Anything else you will look at? So I will look at pricing, I will look at responsibility, anything else as a PM?
Mahesh, would you put the data privacy under responsible AI, or it's a different category?
Yeah, I will just put it here like data privacy, but that's like an open there because that's like you will consider it, but at the choice of the model weights are already there, right? And who used what data is their responsibility. And data privacy will be the biggest tenant for you when you are using your customers' data. But that you both and it's under responsible AI. So yes, a good point. Anything else? I'm looking for a big shot point. Two more.
Accuracy.
Accuracy. Great. So I will look for, and how will I do accuracy, right? Michalis or Chris, if you want to help Michalis. Like, how will we do accuracy checks? These models, like what can I do? What can I do to check accuracy of these two? Chris is like, not today. Just imagine it's how Bijan made me comfortable was he said, just run it like your normal class.
All right, yeah. Okay, cool. So like sorry, I had a little bit of challenge unmuting. So I was imagining like, kind of you can check out the like hallucination rate or like the amount.
So we have benchmarks, right? And there
Yeah.
will be direct Q&A, and we have report from ChatGPT, people that have published it, and we will compare that. Anything else? So we will do these benchmarks. We will look at public benchmarks. There are a lot of benchmarks that are out there these days for harm. And already like OpenAI, when OpenAI came out in their paper, they have used Truth Q&A and they said Anthropic sucks and we are so cool. I think they were at like 30%, and then GPT-4 said we are at like 50%. So 50% was the winner, although like We discussed a lot of these things. Neeraj came on camera. Neeraj, you want to take on any of these? So, okay, I got a lot of these things are getting covered. So we have mostly, I think we are touching on. So just one more I'm looking for.
I have one that I'd
And
like to share. And you might say it's part of accuracy, but, and you might be right on this, but I'm thinking
Not
like,
sure.
does the 100,000 part matter a lot? Like, I feel like the fact that you can take more context, yes, it is part of accuracy, but maybe it unlocks like new sets of functionalities. What do you think?
Yeah, that's the great point, right? And that's their killer feature, right? So they are going after, so this idea of context, and now we discussed this on length. What is context? How much information can you send to the model? People talk about them as tokens, which is nothing but words converted into numbers, which machines can read. And now how many can you send? That's the context. And the context length is how you measure them. Can somebody tell me what was the context length of GPT-3 or the basic GPT that is out there today? Just say it. Need not to raise hands. Give you options: 8K, 16K, 32K.
It's 16K, if I'm not mistaken. It recently went from 4 to 16, right?
Correct. So
A lot.
16K is where GPT-3 is, 3.5 is, and if you are going GPT-4, you can send up to 32K. Anthropic comes in and says, hey guys, we are at 100K. And I read the paper, they said, actually, we are at 200K, but we are launching it with 100K. So that's the biggest, I think, the crowd puller to them. Because if you know, like why Bijan said it, because Bijan, when he processes his prompts for products and tries to convert a screenshot to a Jira ticket, he need to pass that context. And the quality of context depends upon the quality of information he provides to this large model. If he can provide now 100K worth of context, he can be better than his competitors. So anybody who is, you can provide up to, let's imagine you are sending 32 words and this guy is sending 100 words. And there is a guy on the other side who's trying to answer or give you a best answer. Now you are going to give them more and get more also. So that I think is the biggest killer feature. And that's making the document understanding part, which I talked about earlier, like really good. So context, anything else, one more last, and then we'll move on. So we will have responsibility, pricing, context, benchmarking, and then I will take on the questions that Nava asked. Adam and then Nava.
Hi, maintenance.
Correct. So let's call it scalability. And maintenance is like kind of subfield of that, which is like also you're talking about, hey, who's gonna make this? Does this model scale? Which is like, can it run on the largest infrastructure? Can it be always available? And can it always be upgraded? And I need not to care about it. Who's guaranteeing that? Because Anthropic is a new company. They have not run anything in production yet. And remember, like ChatGPT, when they launched, they had all these problems. They were saying, oh, guys, we can't run more than this. We can't do this. We can't do that. Anthropic will go through that phase. How are they solving it? They're solving it because they are going with AWS. And who is GPT going with? Do we know? Which cloud provider GPT goes with, team?
Didn't you say Anthropic was Google or no?
Anthropic is Google and AWS. So AWS has rights to distribute Anthropic models, and they have done that in Bedrock. So right now you can go to AWS Bedrock and actually get those models, use those APIs. So that's there. So Azure has the rights for, so I think the scalability part is good, right? Azure, AWS, GCP, all are really big players. I won't worry about like scalability. So you can pick any, you will not be failing. Let's look at the pricing. Pricing, can somebody give me, I looked at the pricing and seems like I put a link here. Actually, now, because you have done all the hard work, I can share my screen back and we can discuss more. Nava, go ahead. Your hand is raised, and then we can continue.
Or is Anthropic data only since 2021?
Yeah, so the data for GPT is 2021 cut, and Anthropic came up with freshness of 2023. So that's another good point. Like, who has the fresh data? Because you are building a product now, and if you want to clear differentiation, and this is like normal, right? You will see that these new models come, they will be more fresh. That's, I think, is like easy to beat, because I can get another GPT-4 tomorrow and they can get me a refresh. But getting to larger context and giving freshness always with a new model will be a continuous challenge that you will face as a product manager. Now, should I just switch because I'm getting like 3x context and freshness of a year? It's just an API change, maybe. What tests should I be running? And I want to look at touch upon this last idea of pricing, but you can see my screen and we'll just look at their pricing quickly. So now you can see all the differences. And I didn't talk about one thing, but go ahead. Neeraj, you go ahead first. And sorry, I'm just going to take questions today with the team that I know. I'm really sorry for people who are on audit. Hopefully we'll figure that out. But I just didn't know, like, what questions to answer and wanted it to be productive. But Bijan will figure out a way for us to solve that.
Yeah, I was thinking about reliability.
Yeah.
So I think this is missed because the prompt should keep giving the same answers every time, but right now it's not the case.
Yeah, so how to take like the top 5, and then out of those top 5, what's that best evolution criteria, and then get a response, and who is like deviating too much, because then your criterias are failing. So you see the stickiness in this world, right? So people say that you can just switch the APIs, but there's no switching of APIs. These, even if they're large language models, even if they answered the basic questions almost same, right? If you got this answer like this one, or you got this answer, there was not much difference if you're a generic user and if you are generically generate text. But if you have built on top of any of these, like Neeraj brought this point, that generally, if you're building a production scale application, what you're doing is you're not just sending a prompt and getting a response, you are trying 5 times, and then you have built an evolution or prompt evolution or versioning, which gives you the best answer out of these 5 prompts. And then you respond it. So you are doing that work for your users. And now these are going to vary with models. And now you have to do all that work again if you want to switch from this to that. That's where their stickiness is. So that's one stickiness. Chris, go ahead.
I was thinking about it from stickiness from based on like the infrastructure that you have as well. So like it maybe the killer feature of added context doesn't really matter if you've already invested a lot in like a vector database like Pinecone or like LangChain. Maybe that is not as important to you. And so that, like, I think that kind of plays into the pricing conversation, right? If you're from an infrastructure standpoint.
Yeah, another very good point, Chris. And I feel like so good, like when you bring these points. This is like my show off to the world. But thank you, right? So these are really interesting. Like that's why we have this one, because let me just break it into like pieces. So what Chris is saying is that, hey, what you did is, first step, you just did prompt engineering and you send these prompts. Second step, you started sending multiple prompts and finding the right answer. So that's the step number 2. And step number 3 is, now you have created a database of what you send or what your documents look like. And you have stored it in something called vector databases, which instead of storing like numbers, store embeddings, which are nothing but words converted into something that machines can understand and find relationships between. So now this is a new kind of database. And now you have created this context aware system that always you send a query, it sends to the vector database, gets the context, and then send it to LLM. And now, if you have invested in this vector database, and if Anthropic comes and says, maybe you don't need it, Maybe you just upload all your documents to me and then ask me a question, and I can handle 100K. 100K is 3x. So, but I have a vector database. I don't have a problem. Then how will you cover my moat? Which is, if people have already a vector database, they are already reducing in 32K words, they can send a lot of context already because they are minimizing with vector databases. So if you have that, all that implementation, you need to have anyways, even if you're going 3x with these Anthropic models. But now you need, you have the advantage, but now you need not to really like, that's not where your maximum pain is. But if you don't have a vector database, you see the advantage right away. So that's what Chris was bringing. I just wanted to break it down for everyone to understand, because now we have reached that point, like vector database is a common lingo now, and everybody just gets it. So thank you. But let's look at the pricing, right? And one thing I was like, because when you have these choices, right, as a product manager, and especially new companies, because a lot of new companies are trying a lot of new things, and that's where mostly the market for OpenAI or cloud is. And if you look at the pricing, right, I just did a quick check on pricing today morning. They are saying, hey, 6K per 6 cents, 1,000 tokens. And Cloud API is saying, I had a screenshot, but let's just find out. Which was, does anybody know like their pricing? I will just open it up. Just give me 1 second. Anthropic pricing. Yeah, so that's how they are going. They are going million tokens. And if you look at that, million is basically 1,000 into 1,000. I think I did my math right. If I did wrong, just correct me. But if you just take this, they are at $11 when you send the prompts, and 3x of that when they respond to you or complete your prompts. Let's just take the prompts one, and that's $11 million. And where are we doing? How are we doing with? So let's just multiply that with 1,000. And if you do that, that comes out to be 60, right? 3x.
Yeah, that's
6x.
crazy. So much more expensive.
6x.
OpenAI is like outdated now.
So 6x price difference. That will move people. And they have rich context of the documents. So if you have documents, they are beating ChatGPT. And they have the 6x. So where are you going to fail? One choice, which nobody brought in. And at least I think I am still adding value in this cohort. And hopefully you guys will run this eventually. That's the goal. But if you look at this, fine tuning, I look at that adaptability. Can it adapt to your data? How long can it go? So they're still figuring out how to fine tune their models, which people have already done with OpenAI. I have a fine-tuned model with OpenAI. I have spent so much already. I am so, that part of stickiness, right? So stickiness is, hey, my prompts, how much I have spent on infrastructure around it, like vector databases. And this is the killer one. If I have fine-tuned a model on top of OpenAI, I'm stuck. And by the way, I can't even do it with Anthropic today. They say, come talk to us. That means they're not ready. Like, we have done cloud enough. We know when people are ready. So you can talk to them. That's how I saw it, but they're not allowing you to fine tune. They're saying just do prompt engineering at this point. And as you have seen in our own examples of building products, like when we took the live example of chat contract, or Pijan has like this idea around product monkey, soon you will realize as a product manager that doing prompt engineering, beyond that, you have to fine tune your model if you're continuously going to increase value to your customers. And they are not doing that. So today, in my own sense, I think if you have only documents, you go with Cloud 2. If you have anything else, you're better off going here. This is how you will evaluate it. I also looked at their benchmarking, and I would highly recommend you to read this. I'm running a little bit over time, but I wanted to discuss it today. But I will highly recommend you to read this model card. So we talked about this benchmarking idea. I will take Nawaz's question as well. So this is how they have published their model card. What are model cards? Can somebody tell me? We discussed it. This is a hard one, so I will let you go. What's a model card? Let me give you this idea that, hey, we want to build responsible AI. We want to build responsible AI. How you build responsible AI? One of the pillar of responsible AI is transparency. And as a product manager, how can you be transparent with the consumers, with the world out there? What you do? Oh my God, save me. Okay, you publish your model card, which is this idea that how you trained the model. You publish your benchmark results. You also publish your limitations. You also publish how your model is biased, about what it is biased about, and what you are doing to solve it. So you are basically coming out yourself in open and saying, this is what I have done. This is my model. This is what it does. This is how I'm, these are the results. These are the limitations. So this idea, right? I think that was a very good question, Nawaz, which was this idea of constitutional training, or this idea of building it with constitutional understanding, or this new idea. I read another paper that I would highly recommend you to read, which is they just recommended it, Nawa, for you, to the National Telecommunication and Standard Department. They presented their offering. US department called them and said, hey, we are building this like standards for AI. What's your recommendation? And I put it in notes as well. And I wanted to do that in this call, but then we made it a community call. That was the real context. I wanted to like check if you as a product manager need to give these recommendations, what will you give? And I think you will come up with good ideas, but I will share the link, read it. But that's where they are saying that, hey, first the government should be spending a lot on benchmarking. There's no good benchmarks. The other recommendation they had was that this idea around sending or setting this constitutional training, which is, what is a constitution? Constitution is a set of rules that we all abide by, and then laws are made out of those rules. So Anthropic has this view, or I think it's now a common open source or our community view as we are building, that we should have set rules, and then we have mechanisms to enforce those rules. None of that exists today. So what they have done is they have taken this idea of triple H, harmless systems, helpful, harmless, and then they publish their honest, harmless, and helpful. So these are their three pillars that they have like started with, but this is like a common practice now. And they are publishing these results. And what they are saying is that when you train your models, you can have these benchmarks during the training process. So you run a few iterations and then you check, this is my constitution. Let's imagine this is my law that I cannot harm people. And then you have this benchmark or a test or a framework which offers this test, which says, now this is harmful, or the harmful index has gone from X from 0.3 to 0.5. And let's say the allowed is 0.3. So every iteration, they go and check that. And then if it goes to the south, then they go back, they change the behavior of the model by changing the behavior of the data or fine tuning the model parameters to make sure it remains under 0.3. So they are enforcing that during their training process. That's their Uber idea of constitutional training, which is becoming this de facto standard or a requirement. Whenever these laws will be made, you will see that this whole idea that the US government is doing around NSIT, which is like this department, which is looking at me trying to Anthropic recommendation to this guys. I will share it on our channel and let's read that next time. I think it's a very good, but overall, the idea is that how can you modify the behavior? We discussed that, right? That, hey, these are black boxes. But then we said, no, these are not black boxes. We have frameworks which will allow us to see how a model actually produce a result. But then we said for large language models, it's too hard because they are too big and they're trained on so much data which nobody has clue about. So now how they are solving it is with this idea that, hey, let's bring these laws, let's bring these parameters, and at each step, let's change the behavior of the model to align with the behavior of the company. And this is one of the idea we discussed also when we read this paper, which is a counterproductive idea to this idea, which said that, hey, there's no way to change the behavior of current model. So this guy wrote it in April 2023. And what his claim was that, hey, there is no way to alter the behavior of these many important LLMs emerge predictably. There are no reliable techniques to steer the behavior of LLMs. And that's the idea which Anthropic is producing, that they are trying to steer the behavior of these LLMs to be more follow the constitution, which is this idea of they should not be harmful, they should help, and they the other edge in their story. So that's the idea. I want to switch gears if allowed. I know this had gone a longer discussion today. We have a lot of audience. So I want to go back quickly to the second part. Have everybody finished week one? The second part we are doing for everybody, just to give you a little bit context. What we are doing is we are doing this course. We think this is the coolest course out there because I work for AWS and AWS sponsored this course. So that's why I think, and the second thing is I have access to a lot of people inside. So if we have problems, I can ask them questions. So that was the major reason for me choosing this course. We thought it will be cool for us to just do a course. Although I feel that product managers should know a lot about tech, but focus again back to building products and making business around them. But knowing tech helps you like what's real, what's not real. So we do spend like 20 to 30% time. Although if you join our course and you will see our material, I've spent a lot of time like writing a lot of concepts and spend a lot of engineering muscle to build the context. But when you join the classes, it's 80 to 90% focus on how you actually build products with machine learning and AI. And that's what we discussed. Anumia, Chris can just say yes to that. I think I did that. But if you look at like the material, that's a different kind of the material is very technical, but the discussions are very, very product focused. So we try to keep that balance. So now, since in this call, 45 minutes or so, we're discussing all the product aspects on what this new thing Claude came, and this is how the weekly calls are run. Generally, we pick up a paper. Last time we picked up this paper called 8 Things, and we looked at all these 8 things. We divided ourselves, and everybody presented one of the things and what they think. Then you can look at the LinkedIn post we made as a team together. So that's how these calls are run. But now coming back, we're doing this course. We are on week 1. And if you join us, or even if you continue to be here in these calls, I would highly recommend you spending 3 weeks and learning this course. And we can use this call to address any questions or concerns. And quickly, I can just tell you, right, that I'm done with week 1 and week 2. Anybody done with week 2? Because we wanted to do week 2, but I reversed them to week 1 for this call so that all of us can do this course together. And we'll use this call to answer any questions, to troubleshoot. And hopefully we do have a channel, but if you feel, Bijan and me will figure out how can you all have a Discord channel or something, or our Slack channel, where you can post your questions as well if they are related to this course. And we are happy to help you and tag along and do it. And I think Chris, Michalis, Anumia, and Amri will help you too. And Adam is not on call, like not on video, and Neeraj is there. So quickly, I think, let me just talk about first, I think I have 5 minutes. So let me just give you the idea on how to do these labs. One is like, you can just do it here. So once you do lab, I think you do the text here. But then if you try to do the lab is like kind of restricted. I think they want you to pay. And then somebody in the cohort pointed that you can actually do it for free. So maybe let me just do the hard part on figuring out how can you do this lab for free and get us started? Because that's where I think you will struggle. Others are just go to Coursera, join this course. It's a free audit course. Watch these videos, ask questions next time when we see you, if we see you. And you can ask these questions. Mostly we spend most of the time looking at this material from this and then revise the concept around what is a transformer, why a transformer does the things the way a recurrent neural network cannot, and those. But let me just give you 2 minutes of how to get started on doing the lab on your own without like in the audit mode itself, and you need not to pay. So what you can do is what Amazon AWS has done is that, hey, these are the labs. And so you go here, you can sign up for AWS free tier, go to SageMaker, just search for Amazon SageMaker here, and then it will land you to Amazon SageMaker. It's basically guessing reload. So that's good. That will make sure that I go through the same path. So basically Amazon SageMaker is this idea around ML ops or making machine learning super easy for anybody who's trying to get started with machine learning. If you don't know all this as a product manager, you can live without it, but we try to go one layer down and try to do things as well, especially in this call. I couldn't do enough of that during our course, or when we do the course, I can't do it because I have a lot to teach and like concepts wise and the product fundamentals. But Friday, we want to ticker and like go a little bit deep and say, can we run it and do like train real models or query real models? So go to your Amazon, go to Amazon SageMaker. If you can't find it, just search SageMaker. SageMaker is an MLOps offering, which is machine learning operations, which allows you to easily take open source model, offer them as inference endpoints, which is nothing but APIs that you can send your data and get responses. They have like a lot of tutorials. And one of that cool thing is they have this thing called Studio. So you can just go to the Studio and then you can just activate your Studio. Once you activate your Studio, does anybody have the GitHub link that we can share with the community? I forgot it by this time, actually. Maybe it should be in my notes, right? Let's see if I copied it. No, GitHub private GPT, we don't want it. Can anybody help me? Last time we had this GitHub Labs, right? From AWS. I think by this time I have cloned it.
Is it
Okay,
the
maybe.
data? Is it the data science on AWS GitHub that I have that I can shoot it to you in Slack?
Changed my life. Just shoot it for Slack for everyone. Thanks, Adam. You should be on camera. You're saving my life. But thank you. I think these are the labs. Now I got it. So this is the same lab that you see in the course, and you can get started here. We'll paste the link. That's all you need, and then you can run it in Amazon SageMaker, or you can run it in anywhere you like or where you are used to running things if you know the developer persona. But all these steps are shown in the lab, so you can just go in the lab and do it, and just open your Studio. Once you open your Studio, you should land up something like this. So you need to go to your console, and all these instructions this guy shows you in the video. So if you are doing the course, then this video talks about like how to get started. Just the step where you need to get the content, this step, when they ask you to upgrade, instead of that, you just go clone that repo, and then you will have access, which is just do git clone on command line and you're good to go. And then what you can do is, once you reach here, no, not here, just run this file. This sets up all the dependencies that you need to run. And then you can just jump to number 2. Don't run these are failing, but that's the lab they used in this tutorial. And you can just start running this lab. And here you're actually sending real prompts and getting real responses. Like I can just look at this data set, and these are my prompts, which said a lot about prompts. So prompts are nothing but your messages in plain English, how you interact with the model. And then You download the tokenizer, which is this idea that how can you convert your words into something machines can understand, which are the tokens. And then you go and you start sending this data, tokenize it, and this your model generate, you send your stuff and you set your maximum input length, and then you get a response, and then you continue to iterate, use the course material there to get it. Nava, your hand is up, but I want to summarize after this. That's all I had for today. But
Yeah, quick question.
go ahead, Nava.
Coursera, is that the deep learning course, the Google Cloud course?
Oh no, don't do the Google Cloud course.
Oh.
This one, let me just show you.
The one introduction to large language models.
Correct. So this one, right? The generative AI with LLMs, this course. These guys, you should see these 3 guys and you should see AWS there.
I think it's free if you go to on Google
Yeah.
Cloud, by the way.
Yeah, it's free. It's a free course.
It
This
is,
is a free course. Yeah, yeah, it's a free course and we are doing it in part of our cohort. So we are on week 1. Please go through week 1 material, do the week 1 labs. I think somebody pasted in the chat. If you can pay them, if you want to $49, I think it's worth it. So pay them. If you don't want to pay them, you have access to the labs. We are here suggesting us. We will be doing week 2 labs next time I see you, and we can quickly take questions on week 1, and hopefully we can get back to that rhythm and spend more time on the labs and the course material next time. But thank you for doing the service for everybody. And because we did the same week 1 last time, and I just wanted to make sure that all of us can stay same, because I did not want new teams to look at week 2 and not talk about week 1. But next time we will talk a lot about the course material in this and take questions. We'll do Q&A. And there are 2 choices I have on like PM side. Maybe we can talk about this idea around what a PM in Facebook does, different aspects, especially the ML and AI PMs. Or I posted a paper which I loved. We can discuss that as well. We can discuss it offline, but that's the agenda for next call. We will go through week 2 in generative AI and we will come up whether we should discuss that paper I shared or what a PM in Facebook does exactly. Like, what are the ML and AI problems that we are trying to solve at Facebook, and where a PM help is needed and what kind of jobs he does. I can bring my perspective and we'll take it from there. That's all I have. I want to transfer it back to Bijan. And thanks everyone. I know it may not be that interactive, but at least you got a flavor. And I would love all of you to be here and stay connected. We meet every Friday like this, and we'll continue to learn together. Having said that, back to you, Bijan.
All right. Thanks so much, Mahesh. Great session. I really enjoyed learning more
Thanks, Noah.
about Cloud 2 as well. And yeah, I think that's one of the things about our community is we're actually pretty open to even learning things that are outside our cohort as well, even taking other courses, kind of discussing them on top of what we're doing. We know that it's not something that you can really become an expert on in all different aspects with just like 4 weeks of cohort. It's a marathon rather than a sprint, and we embrace that. So for those of you that enjoyed what you saw today and would like to be able to attend these sessions and be an active participant, I'm just sharing the link in the chat in Zoom. Feel free to just go in there, apply to join the program. We're reviewing applications as they come in, and I'm sure that you would become as knowledgeable as people that are here actively participating. So with that said, thank you so much. We're right on time, 1 minute early. So that's amazing. And see you guys all next week. See the cohort participants next week. Talk to you guys later. Bye.